No, you guys are good. I'm live. Oh, okay. Hi, good evening, and welcome to Thursday night at Living Word Family Church. I'm that good-looking guy right there, Pastor Ryan Speakman, These Final Days Ministries, and I serve under my favorite pastor in the whole wide world, Pastor Maureen Collins. Serve for my pastor. And if you're ever in the market for a home church, pop in here 10:30 Sunday morning. She's amazing. So, and I've been saying for 25 years I could not do what I do unless she gave the support and covering that she does. So you have her to blame for this. I mean, thank for this. All right. So welcome. Wow, full house tonight. You guys all came on a good night. Yeah, I mean, pretty close. So yeah, for real, this is going to sound like, hyperbole, but this may be the most important class I've ever taught, maybe, in 25 years. And I know you're all thinking, well, he says that every time. That's not true. The only other time I ever said that was 3 weeks ago when I first started to teach about, tonight's topic. So, but you guys know I've been like hyperventilating for like the last month over what happened in Damascus. It was literally like 1 month ago, almost to the day. So on December 8th, something happened in Syria that kind of got my attention, and going to be a fun class. So we have several new people. So welcome, George. Everybody give George a hand. So he found our class. And he's kind of into the crazy end times revelation stuff. So I think he came here like on accident, but the Holy Spirit led him here because by the Holy Spirit. But okay, but it really wasn't even by accident because he said, well, God led me here. Yeah. So, right. And then I know this is Barry and Lori, is it? Barry and Lori. Okay. So let's give them a hand. Welcome them. And Mark and Connie are my favorite participants in the whole world because they filled up like half my class. Yeah, half the class like their friends. But everybody, yeah, welcome. And everyone watching online, welcome to you guys too. Got a big class tonight, a lot of ground to cover. So last class, you guys, those of you who were here, you recall that prior to that class, we've been working on the 4 horsemen, and I've been trying to like really establish for us, or at least explain to you guys why I teach that we are now in this generation in the book of Revelation. We're kind of well into it. So Wanda, can you point toward the red dot right there? So the red dot that says we are here. So I've got us past the 4 horsemen. The 4 horsemen are riding, which is exciting because the 4 horsemen are the first 4 of the 7 seals on a scroll that only Jesus can open. You guys will recall. And this period where Jesus is slowly opening, breaking the seals one by one, again, there's 7 of them, right? When he gets to the end, that scroll's unfurled. That scroll is God's decree of final judgment upon this world system. That's when the 7-year Great Tribulation starts. So for years I've been saying this. I keep saying that we're getting close. Does anyone in this room or watching online suspect that we might be the last generation? Yeah. Okay, so if any of us are right, I guess it'd be all of us. If all of us are right about that, then things better start moving fast because I'm 57 and so if Jesus is coming back in my lifetime, I got a few good decades left, but still I want to be in the game. But so we were again, I got a good start on the 4 horsemen, and then this thing happened in Damascus and got my attention. Very much along the same question, are we living in the last days? Are we right about this? Are we the generation that will see Christ return? So you know what it feels like to me? After 25 years, These Final Days Ministries is going from being, for entertainment purposes only to being real, right? So buckle your seatbelts. It's going to be a fun one. So you guys could all see the title of our topic tonight. So it's a big one, right? This is the most bold title I've ever given any class in 25 years. Is the Antichrist in power in Damascus, ... right now? Okay, and I got a picture of our guy. So I want to start by saying right off the bat, I'm not saying this is the guy, okay? That would be very irresponsible of me. I actually kind of fantasize with the idea of in this class, I would say the opposite because my credibility is very important to me. It's not about me, okay? If I'm serious about the calling that God's put in my life, if it comes to a point in history where I need to stick my neck out a little bit Either I do it or I'm disqualified from ministry. That's me, okay? Anybody else here in ministry, you might kind of understand that sentiment, right? So I kind of fantasize with the idea of standing up here tonight saying, it's not the guy, but let's look at him. He's really interesting. You know what? Can't say it. I am definitely not at a point right now where I can actually say this is not the guy. By the guy, I mean the Antichrist. So as crazy as it sounds and as scary, haven't we all believed this? Or at least we say we believe it. For decades, we've all been saying we believe we'll be the generation. If we are, this guy has to show up, pretty soon here, right? I don't know. So let's dive in. Okay. All right. First things first, get some housekeeping out of the way. So if you are watching on Facebook, please like the video, follow my page. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm still like under 1,000 viewers, and guys who are nowhere near as good at this, right, have like 1,000 times more viewers than I do. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, like the video, et cetera, et cetera. If you're watching on TikTok, same thing. And all of our social media platforms are growing. We're up to almost 90,000 followers on Facebook. That's really good. TikTok is over 7,000 now. So just we'll just keep going, right? We do what we're called to do. This is tonight. Yes, oops. This is tonight's class. Today is January 9th. Is that correct? Yes. So we're on a regular schedule for the rest of the month from here. So we do this class every 2 weeks, as most of you know. So in 2 weeks, we are meeting again on January 23rd. And I don't know, maybe we'll be back to the 4 Horsemen, depending on how fast I can talk tonight. You guys know how fast I talk, right? I'll try to go slow enough that you can understand like what I'm actually saying. So I know that, hence the name, Speakman. Oh my gosh, John Painter's here. Yay. All right. Oh, and by the way, real quick before I forget, there are some amazing desserts up here provided by Lisa and Lewis. We'll give Lewis some credit too. And they've kept with our policy. They're all fat-free, sugar-free. They burn fat, build muscle, and grow your hair. So just don't hesitate. And honestly, during class, just come up here, help yourself to coffee, desserts. There's bottles of water in the foyer. Just don't worry about disrupting things. So you can't stop me once I get going. So, all right. So if you are interested to learn more about this ministry, please go to thesefundamentals.org. All kinds of videos on there, research trips, mission trips, 25 years worth of teaching, the Revelation timeline. You can look it online. And then my best-selling book series, always going to mention that, right? Did you guys hear I'm working on a part 3 of this series? I know. You know what? You're going to think I'm spinning it, but when this thing happened a month ago in Damascus, my first thought was, oh my gosh, there goes my book series. It's now completely irrelevant, but not the case. And in fact, what occurred to me, you might think I'm just trying to make myself feel better. What occurred to me is that the timing is like off the charts, perfect for part 3. Okay, so literally when this happened, I was just getting ready to type the first word of the final section of this book, which has to do with, guess what? The rise to power of the Antichrist, who he is, where he comes from. And if I had published my book a week before this guy did his thing a month ago, I would be curled up in a ball in the corner right now sobbing because my book would be out of date. It'd be irrelevant, like already, right? So it's interesting timing for me. Thank you, God, I mean, if his hand really is over, this ministry, then, that it makes sense. So, but in the meantime, you can get part 1 and part 2, again, bestsellers for years on Amazon. They do very, very well. You can click to them, from thesefundamentals.org. So, and while you're there, if you feel so inclined, please click I don't mean so inclined, if the Holy Spirit moves you, and I mean that very sincerely. I appreciate everyone's support very, very much, from my heart. But at the same time, the support that matters is that which is directed by the Holy Spirit. So if the Holy Spirit is moving you to help this ministry, it is very useful, needed, appreciated, etc. So they'll take you to this place. You can donate by PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, or old-fashioned way, send a check through the mail. Or if you're right here in the room, look, I have a bucket. It's going to go around, so fill the bucket. 2 things. The ministry needs funds to publish a book very, very soon and to make another trip overseas like really, really soon. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying where I'm going. Wink, wink. But yeah, so, my gosh, I mean, I'm chomping the bit. Okay. So, and by the way, we have started kind of a new thing. we've had this for a while, but it's just kind of really getting rocking and rolling, lately. We have a Facebook Messenger discussion group. So if anybody, I have about probably 80 people in there right now, have some great conversation in there. If anyone would like to join, just get in touch with me, Ryan at thesefinaldays.org, or find my contact information, phone number on the website, and let me know, and I'll add you to our Facebook Messenger chat. Okay, one little news item before we get into the real news, okay? So did anybody else hear about this? Yeah, interesting, right? So just before I got sidetracked, I mean, it's been a few months, I guess, but we were talking about Revelation chapter 12 and how it describes God's people, the Jews, being led out of the area around Jerusalem, Judea, once the Antichrist takes power. Okay, so that's halfway into the 7-year Great Tribulation. And God rescues his people and evacuates them somehow to southern Jordan. We went over that with a fine-tooth comb. But the way it's described is that he lifts them up and removes them, on wings of an eagle. Okay, yep. And I propose the idea that God is very, very big on symbolism. So the eagle symbolizes something, and the theory, and it's the best possible theory, just right, is that it's described in the United States. Yep. And interestingly, what's the national symbol of the United States? An eagle, and yet. Even when I taught this class a few months ago, that wasn't true. It's kind of been the unofficial, symbol of the United States ever since the 1700s. It's on the seal of the United States, but it was never made official. And then we talked about this a few months ago. Somebody in Congress had actually started a bill going through. Hey, let's make this official. And Biden just signed this into law. I think like the same. Well, what day was that? It was within a week or two of what happened in Damascus. Interesting timing, coincidence. After tonight's class, you will say there's no such thing as a coincidence. But so now officially the eagle symbolized the United States. Maybe just in time for all this stuff to actually start, right? I included this too because I wanted to give a shout out to Joan Kuchta. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but she's a loyal follower, regular follower on Facebook. She follows the ministry, but she sent it to me too. She caught that, and I just wanted to say, cool. I love it when you guys participate. That's been happening more and more lately. I think people are getting excited. Almost like we're in the end times or something. Like, what the heck, right? So, okay, is this tonight? That is today's date. Okay, so this is our topic that we ended up with 3 weeks ago, right? It's been 3 weeks since the last class. Not intentionally. I mean, again, I was in the middle of teaching about the 4 horsemen. This happened. I got a little bit sidetracked. It got me a little bit excited, right? And I've calmed down with it, but every time I try to come to my senses and talk myself out of this guy being a person of interest, let's just call him that. And by this guy, I'm talking about this gentleman right here. That's Abu Muhammad al-Golani, which is actually just his nom de guerre, the name he chose for wartime, which is about the last 14 years he's been using that name. As soon as he marched into Damascus 1 month ago, he went back to his given name, which is Ahmad al-Sharaa. This is important, okay? And of course, they toppled the Assad regime. This is Bashar al-Assad, and he had succeeded his father, who was the president leader of Syria for quite a number of decades before him. So for about 50 years, the Assads have been ruling and reigning over Syria, and now things have changed. So let's see what all this means. So the first little piece of the puzzle I want to discuss here tonight. Okay, so again, last class I was kind of thinking, okay, we've talked about this. I've kind of introduced this guy, person of interest. We're going to circle back to it. I had planned on this class, just get back into the 4 horsemen. Let's get that done. And by the time we're done with that, Jesus will have come back. So well, I thought by then I'll be ready to talk more about this, right? But more information has come to light about this gentleman that I think is very compelling, very interesting. So we're going to keep looking at him tonight. Okay. So so what we're talking about tonight is a couple or few other compelling details, facts about our gentleman, right? Ahmad al-Sharaa, the new guy in Damascus, and what it might mean. Okay. Not going to go completely out on that limb yet, but we're looking at this. So So this is one thing that I kind of touched on and alluded to a few weeks ago in our last class. Is the timing of this coinciding with Jared Kushner? Okay, and what's happening with him? So I'm going to start with an article here. We're just going to read the first couple of paragraphs here. Damascus governor says new Syrian regime. So this is the guy who's running Damascus. It's more like a mayor, right? Let's call him the mayor of Damascus, and he is serving under the new regime. So his boss is Ahmad, our guy, okay? And this is what he said in an interview to the Times of Israel. So the top guys in the new regime are talking to the Israeli press. That's interesting. And he says that the Syrian regime, the new regime, wants peace. Our problem is not with Israel. And I know you can't read that, so I'll read it to you. It says, apparently speaking on behalf of al-Sharaa, our guy, official says they don't want to meddle in anything that will threaten Israel's security, and Jerusalem's control over new regime is natural. Okay, so they're saying, look, we know that Jerusalem, that they're nervous. It's not just a regime change, but the new guy who's sitting in power up there, Ahmad, he's not just a regular revolutionary guy. This guy founded Al-Qaeda in Iraq, founded it. He was the personal advisor to al-Baghdadi, who was the leader of ISIS, of all things. And Ahmad founded another organization once he split off from Al-Qaeda and ISIS. He didn't like the way they were doing things, so he started al-Nusra, which you say those words in the Middle East and everybody gasps because those guys were considered like kind of the most brutal of all. I know we think of ISIS in those terms. But Jerusalem, naturally, the government in Israel is very, very nervous. George and I were talking very, very briefly right before class. George brought up, did you notice that Israel kind of bombed they bombed hundreds, if not thousands of sites throughout Syria, like within a matter of a couple of days, and took out all of the military assets they possibly could. So everything that Assad's regime left behind, Israel went in and bombed the heck out of it, naval forces, Air Force, et cetera, to make sure that nothing got in the hands of the new guys. Well, what's the new guys' reaction? We understand. It's cool. Jerusalem's, they're going to be kind of nervous. It's very, very interesting, how these guys are relating here. And it says in the, down here, it says, in an interview with Pastor Jesse, you made it, yay. In an interview with the U.S. public broadcaster NPR, so we're giving interviews to American press now, apparently on behalf of Syrian leader Ahmad al-Sharaa, the governor of Damascus, said Thursday that, see what I have highlighted, the newly installed government wants to have cordial relations with Israel. Okay, I know I'm a geek, but that makes my heart skip a beat, seeing that, okay? I'm not overreacting. This is interesting. Because when was the last time that Syria had cordial relations with Israel? Never. In fact, and it's not just a matter of, we don't have diplomatic ties, we haven't exchanged ambassadors. Look this up online, Wikipedia, whatever you want to, whatever source. And Syria has actually been literally in a state of war with Israel since 1948, when Israel first became a nation. Syria just became a nation again in 1946, okay? Neither of them were a nation for 2,000 years. So the whole end time story couldn't have even begun to play out for the last 2,000 years, okay? So in the year 63 BC, that's when the Romans came in and conquered Israel. That's the same year that they came in and conquered the Syrian Empire. That was the end of the Syrian Empire. There's been no Syria, there's been no Israel. Now all of a sudden they exist. But again, they have been in a state of perpetual war for all these decades. And now the new guys are saying, not just, we don't want to be at war. He does say that, but he says, we want to have cordial relations with Israel, okay? This opens up possibilities here that are prophetic. So back to Kushner. Who is Jared Kushner, and why have I been so excited about this guy for the last, 7 years, 8 years? The Abraham Accord. So who is Kushner? More specific. He's everybody say it all together. Like we'll do like a sing. Oh, that was good. Like a little sing-song thing. I love you guys. It's so cool. Yeah. Everybody watch online is going to say, man, his class is like, yeah, they're all in sync. So he's the son-in-law of President Trump, And I think we all know that he spent several years during the first Trump administration, Trump's first term, working on this thing called the Abraham Accords. He is actually Jewish, and not just by blood, but he's a practicing Jew, and he's not a conservative or reformed Jew. He's a full Orthodox Jew. That means he's very, very serious about his faith, right? So let's assume that factors in. And he worked very, very hard. The guy's just he's another genius like Trump. Anybody in here Democrat? Don't get mad at me, okay? Yeah, this is Havasu. I'm not worried. Sorry, but yeah, but Kushner, was a billionaire in his own right. Before he even joined the Trump family. So he's married to Ivanka, President Trump's daughter. So it wasn't until the very, very end of Trump's first term, after Trump had already lost the election, nobody started reacting to that, but after the election took place, right? I'm sorry. The last couple of countries had joined after the election, but it was actually on September 15th, 2020, that the initial signing of the Abraham Accords took place, and that was between Israel and two very important nations in the Middle East. Do you guys remember? Israel's had a treaty with, Egypt has been since 1979. That was Yitzhak Rabin. Not the Saudis. Saudi Arabia is the biggest prize. Okay, and it was Bahrain and the UAE. Okay, United Arab Emirates. Okay, but still, those are both on the Saudi Peninsula, and it's unprecedented. These guys were like Syria. They've been at war with Israel since Israel became a nation again in 1948. And to come in and sign these accords, the accords have not fallen apart. They've only gotten stronger. The one thing that Biden did not undo from the Trump administration was the Abraham Accords. In fact, he put his own people on it. So for the last 4 years, the Biden administration has been working to perpetuate the Abraham Accords. They didn't go away. When the election in 2020 took place, and Biden's coming into office, Trump didn't get reelected. Trump's going to disappear. He'll go down to Mar-a-Lago and spend the rest of his life playing golf. Yeah, right. And I'm not being political. I guess I am, but I don't mean to be. But still, the assumption at that time was, okay, well, Trump is out, and then the January 6th thing happened. I mean, there's no way that Trump's getting back in. But hopefully you guys remember, it's in one of our videos, but I said more than once as the Trump administration was wrapping up, Jared Kushner's not going away. He just can't, because he's too much of a person of interest. Okay, this guy, it doesn't mean I'm not wrong. Okay, I'm not a prophet. Okay, God could make me one if he wanted to. He could send Gabriel into my room at night to tell me all the secrets. And here's this guy. He never had, not one time has God, he hasn't. Not one time has God, even like a little inkling in the back of not one time has God told me something that's going to happen before it happens. That's not my office. My office is teacher. So I'm just kind of commenting on these things as they go. It's, thanks for the fun, Lord. It's quite a roller coaster ride. But I remember saying 4 years ago now, it's only been 4 years, I'm sorry, that there's no way that Kushner's going away. And we spent a lot of time talking about him back then, but no one fits this definition better than Kushner. No one in history has ever even come close. He's the son-in-law of a president, or in ancient vernacular, we could call him the son of a king, which is also known as a prince. And I don't have the verse here, but in verse 26, that's what he's referred to. Okay, the prince of the people who is to come. That was referring to the Roman Empire, talking about distant future events. Well, the Roman Empire ceased to exist, 2,000 years ago. That's not true. The Roman Empire never ceased to exist. It's just had multiple permutations. Who is the current modern day permutation of the Roman Empire? That is us, the United States. So does Kushner completely fit that bill? Yeah, and look what he did on top of it. He actually created this covenant, this treaty with many countries, and at some point, according to Bible prophecy, okay, this verse, I quote this verse more than any other verse in the entire Bible in my book series. I counted it once, but it's over and over. This is central to the entire story of the end times. But at some point, according to this prophecy, someone that we call the Antichrist is going to sign on to this covenant, this treaty, and somewhere in the context of it, the nation of Israel will be allowed to remove the Dome of the Rock, and in its place build the third temple. Okay, that's what this prophecy is all about. Okay, and that's the one here on the wings of abomination shall be one. the what I have highlighted there in red. So check this out. I'm calling Ahmad in Damascus officially a person of interest when it comes to the one. So now, here it is, January of 2025, and I stand before you just with all the integrity I can possibly muster. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And I'm telling you, how is it that we now have a solid person of interest? That has not changed in 5 years. He didn't go away, did he? In fact, now he's back. He was on stage when Trump made his victory speech. He's back, okay? And look what this says. Jared Kushner expected to be pivotal to Trump administration's Middle East efforts without taking a formal job. He won't be a member of the administration. He'll be like Elon Musk in that regard. But that gives him free reign to do whatever the heck he wants. You ain't seen nothing yet with the Abraham Accords. Okay, what did I just say? I'm not a prophet. I can't predict the future. But can I make a prediction? That's not from the Holy Spirit, just my own brain. Sometime before this year is over, and maybe even in the next few months, whatever, I believe we're going to see Saudi Arabia finally join the Abraham Accords. Okay, critically important for this story to unfold the way the Bible describes. And someone else, I think, is going to sign the Abraham Accords, possibly within the next year. Syria. And when that happens, I don't know, class is canceled. I'll be on a plane headed over there. So yeah, you can all come with me if you want. So how is it that we have a person of interest for the Prince of the Covenant? Solid. We have a treaty of interest. That's the Abraham Accords. Nothing in history has come remotely close to this, and it's solid. Okay, that it's still 5 years later looking exactly like this covenant. And now that the guy in red, now we have a solid person of interest. I'm not saying he's the guy, but a solid person to play this role. I don't know, guys. The coincidences are stacking up, right? Okay, so diplomatic visits in the last month. The United States, who called Ahmad, our guy, one of the, I think it was on the top 10 list, most wanted criminals in the entire world. They had a $10 million bounty on this guy's head. We flew over there within like a week or so of him, taking power, met with him, shake hands. We dropped the bounty, and now we're talking like we're friends with him, okay? Germany, very important country, same thing. Their foreign minister went over there. At the same time, France's foreign minister went over there. They went over and met with Ahmad together. This was about a week or so ago. Ukraine has sent their guy in. Ukraine's at war with Russia. They don't have time for this stuff. Zelensky's already sent like I don't know how many tons of grain to Syria to help the situation there. So Zelensky is in a state of war with Russia. He's sending foreign aid already to Syria. Turkey, of course, has met with these guys. Turkey's the one who sent these guys. And then I just put et cetera, I didn't have room here, but a whole bunch of Middle Eastern countries. Qatar's gone up there, Jordan's gone up there. Israel has not met with them yet. They don't have any communication channel open yet, not even a secret one, they're saying, but if it was secret, how would they know, right? Or how would we know? And they're calling him, what are they calling? They're respecting Ahmad and suspecting him at the same time. So they're letting him do his thing after blowing up his entire military, or Assad's military. But they're waiting and seeing, and I don't blame Israel for that at all. Why do I have the big green dollar signs down there? What's that all about? If Ahmad keeps playing the way that he's playing, you cannot even fathom the foreign aid, financial aid that's going to be pouring into Syria. Billions and billions and billions of dollars from around the world, because everybody loves this. My gosh, this is like key to peace in the Middle East. Just the most unattainable thing in human history, and this could be key. So this is why Jared is, it doesn't look like in the picture, but he's looking over at this guy just smiling. He's so excited. So just watch. Anyway, so this has my attention. Again, is this just a coincidence that we happen to have not one, not two, but three of the main elements of Daniel 9:27 now right in front of our faces? It's interesting. And you guys ready for the craziest part of all? And a lot of you know about this already because there's been a lot of chatter over the last couple of weeks. But about 2 weeks after Ahmad took office, it makes zero sense to me. I'm sorry, Lord. I'm just going to say it. He's not telling me not to, or if he is, I'm not listening. Sorry, God. but this one thing, like, why didn't God, the Holy Spirit, ping me? And He did not. I'm going back in my brain. Was the Holy Spirit kind of whispering to me? I had a really bad cold when this happened about 2 weeks ago. And but I'm telling you, there wasn't the slightest hint that like the Holy Spirit was trying to ping me. Hey Ryan, look at this. Look this. Just check this guy Ahmad just against this one measure. Not this. I'm just admitting it. Not the slightest hint. Instead, he gave it to this good-looking guy. Okay. This is insane. So I have an identical twin brother. So we have the same DNA. So it almost counts as me. Okay. So I almost get credit for this. Just not quite. But my twin brother, it was 13 days after Ahmad stepped into power. It was on a Saturday night. And he starts sending me this stuff in Facebook Messenger. I got a cold. I got a fever. I'm lying on the floor in my office with 10 blankets and my heater in my face. I didn't look at all that. I was like, fell asleep, right? The next morning, woke up, felt a little bit better, looked at what he wrote, and there it goes again, man. I mean, hyperventilant like never before. Does it mean anything? Not necessarily. I don't know, but I want you guys to kind of judge for yourselves. So my twin brother Aaron got this. Thank you, Lord. And I'm thinking, maybe God is just doing this just to keep Ryan humble. So, because you know what? He's showing stuff to Andrew and to Don and my gosh, Sarah and Richard and I mean, like Mark. I mean, I'm getting insights. Ernie for years, right? John never helps with anything. I'm getting insights all the time. But I'm thinking, is God just trying to keep me humble? You know what? I can't speak for God. I'm not going to try to read God's. I don't know why. But anyways, huh? That was it. But he could have healed me like supernaturally. And here, let me tell you. But yeah, it's just so funny. So when my twin brother did this, I'm like, why didn't I think of this? So let's see what all the hubbub is about here. All right. So here we go. All right. And I'm going to Wanda, tell me when I can stop zooming in. This is Revelation chapter 13. How's that? Is that okay? Okay. Let me take a drink. And Aaron's watching right now, and he's snickering, and man, yeah. We've been competing ever since we were in the womb, and I was the first one born. I'm sorry, is it like TMI? Too much information? Okay, let's move on. Anyways, I did beat him by 6 minutes at that, but I didn't beat him at this. So, the number 6. What a weird coincidence. Okay. Wow. All right, I'm good. Everything's good. Revelation chapter 13. We're going to start in verse 16, go through verse 18. So he causes all, and he in this case is the false prophet. So this isn't the Antichrist, but this is the guy who is going to serve with him. I don't have a theory on him yet. I've been looking for years. I'm just not sure. Some of you might. Okay, talk to me after class. Both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave. Andrew and I have debated this recently. Aaron's talked about this. Is this really describing the entire world, or is it just local to the areas that he controls, the Middle East? I still am leaning toward the whole world, but we're going to kick that around some more. But just to get that out there. But look at this. He causes all, okay, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. So this is what we call the mark of the beast. Everybody is familiar with this concept, that no one may buy or sell except one. So it has to be some kind of physical component, something that you have to have this to be able to participate in economics, buy stuff, sell stuff, buy food at the grocery store, except one who has the mark or the name of the beast. Now look what I have highlighted in green. Okay, why didn't this come to me? Because the Holy Spirit didn't ping me, and it came to Aaron. The number of his name. Have you ever wondered about this, pondered this? Of course. How many decades have we all been whose name equals 666? Is it Ronald Reagan? Is it Gorbachev? Is it Bill Gates? Is it Putin now? Elon Musk, right? Trump, Biden, whatever, right? So everybody's always looking for who's. Yeah, of course, Obama was a major candidate for a long time. Now, I'm going to say this, and this isn't me being prideful or whether it is or isn't. It's an important point. How many times in the last 25 years have I ever said to you guys, oh yeah, that person might be the Antichrist. I think that guy might be the Antichrist. Sarah? Mm-mm. None? Not at all. 25 years, nobody has caught my attention. So I'm the guy who kind of is like a jerk and kind of mocking and snickering, oh, Obama's the Antichrist. Why? Because you don't like him? You don't like his policies? I didn't like his policies either, okay? People are saying Trump's the Antichrist because they don't like him or, his policies, his personality, whatever. Macron was one who somebody said to me, in the last couple of weeks, well, some people say Macron is the Antichrist. Come to my class. Anyways, but I've always said the same thing, not even close. They don't qualify to be the Antichrist. They can't be because, look, the Antichrist has to check this box and this box and this box. And nobody checks even one of the boxes. tell this guy, this new guy, okay? So the number of his name, so watch this. Here is wisdom, let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666, okay? Some of you have heard, I think it's actually 616. Nope, Irenaeus talks about that. We'll talk about Irenaeus in a second, who he is. And he actually directly confronts that. He says the translators were being lazy. This is like in the 2nd century AD. And he's saying the translators were lazy. It's 666. That's the correct number, okay? Now I've never had this highlighted until this class, but we have a person of interest for the Prince of the Covenant, Jared Kushner, maybe. We have a treaty of interest, right? The Abraham Accords, Daniel 9:27, maybe. Now we have a person of interest, possibly. This is where we're really sticking our necks out here, for the Antichrist himself, okay? And this is highlighted because I can't believe I'm even saying this. Aaron, you owe me. Let him who has understanding calculate. This could be my twin brother, which will make me mad for the rest of the term. Not really, just making a joke. He's actually the one that said that. Hey, look, whatever. Okay. All right. So what does that mean? Calculate the number of the beast, the number of his name, it specifically says. So somebody in here knows what that means. How do you calculate the number of somebody's name? Go ahead, Ernie.
The same as letters.
In Hebrew, yes, and that's called, it starts with a G, Andrew?
Gematria.
The Gematria, right. So in Hebrew, and John, who wrote the book of Revelation, he was Jewish, he knew Hebrew, and he knew this concept. Of course, he grew up with it, right? He was a scholar, John was. So he knew the concept of Gematria. However, did John write the book of Revelation in Hebrew? I know some scholars say yes, not true. He wrote it in Greek. Okay, he wrote in Greek. And in fact, he's using a Greek word here where he says calculate right there. It's a certain Greek word that means something to us. We'll see here in a second. And it's actually, as it turns out, it's the Greek method of assigning a number to a name, and it works exactly the same as the Hebrew method, gematria, but the name of the Greek method is, actually, let's start with the word in Revelation 13. So the actual word here is sophisato, okay? And I've spent the last 2 weeks learning how to pronounce that, so somebody give me a hand, because it's, unless you're Greek, and then you can just laugh because I completely butchered it, I'm sure. So, but sophisato, okay, and that's where we get this phrase, "Let him count." All right, and where that word comes from, let me just jump to it. This is the Greek equivalent of the Hebrew gematria, the system of assigning a number to a name. It's called Isopsephy. Okay, and I'm just going to read the highlighted parts. In numerology, Isopsephy, from the Greek word for pebble, okay, or isopsephism is the practice of adding up the number values of the letters in a word to form a single number. It's not rocket science, okay? Isopsephy is related to gematria. See how that's mentioned right here in Wikipedia? The same practice used in the Hebrew alphabet. So kind of cool. John knew Hebrew, of course. He was a Jew. He's writing in Greek, and they both kind of have this approach. Interesting, kind of fits. And then Wikipedia says, I'm sorry, let me zoom in. I know you guys can't read this. Just go. Watch this. This is interesting. You probably still can't read it, but I'm going to read it out loud. A famous example is 666 in the biblical book of Revelation, Revelation 13:18, what we just read. Here is wisdom, he that has understanding. Count the number of the beast. It is the number of a man, and his number is 636, or in other words, 666. Watch this, though. The word rendered count in the original Greek in Revelation is sophisato, right? Like we just saw over in Bible Hub. That literally is it. It has the same root word, pebble, as the word isopsephy. So we get a really strong hint here from John, hypothetically, of how to calculate the number of somebody's name. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's a little bit iffy for us. Like, are we sure it's the Greek method? Maybe it is the Hebrew method. How do we really know? That's where our favorite guy in the whole world comes in, which is yes. Oh, I love you guys. You know me so well. Okay, let's get over here. Irenaeus. Okay, so I always love it when I get a chance to bring his book to class, because then I have to make two trips to my truck to bring in all my stuff, because it's a really big book. Okay, you laugh, yeah. Anyways, Irenaeus, this book was published in the year AD 180. Ben's mom just bought him this book for Christmas. Coolest mom ever. Yeah. He's, I'm a geek. Ben's not a geek, but, still. No, dude, that's so geeky. That's so geeky. Yeah. Read the whole thing, no joke. About the last fifth of this book is all about the book of Revelation, what John wrote. So Irenaeus was really serious about telling us the proper way to understand the book of Revelation. Okay, the first 4/5 are just about Christianity in general, etc. But a big chunk of this book is all about end times prophecy, the book of Revelation. Now, how would Irenaeus know? What makes him such an expert? You can see the little diagram on the screen because Irenaeus was, where's my pointer? Irenaeus was the disciple of a guy named Polycarp, who was the disciple of none other than John the Apostle himself. Okay. So John, who wrote the book of Revelation, he knew he wouldn't be around forever, right? He chose a disciple, just like Jesus had chosen him as a disciple. He got this concept. Wasn't he even like Jesus' favorite disciple? At least that's what he called himself in his book. He really did. Okay. Maybe that's why I like, anyways. Okay. See, I'm not the only one like that. All right. But yeah, so John, he understood discipleship. He was in Jesus' inner circle. One of only 3 disciples that were with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration when Jesus raised Jairus' daughter from the dead or close to dead, right? And one of only 3 in the Garden of Gethsemane, the other 2 being Peter and James, his brother, right? So John, after he wrote the book of Revelation, he chose a disciple. He actually had a couple. Ignatius was the other one, didn't write very much. Polycarp, history tells us, wrote a whole bunch of stuff. Most of that was lost to history, which made me very sad when I realized this, when I first got this idea. Hey, what if John had somebody that he passed along his knowledge to? Well, fortunately, Polycarp got the same idea, right? He learned this principle of discipleship from his mentor, John. So he, in turn, picked a disciple. That was Irenaeus. Irenaeus' stuff did not get lost to history. It's right there, on our counter, right? So Irenaeus tells us a whole bunch of stuff. So let's take a look at Irenaeus and what he tells us about what John means in Revelation. He who calculates the number of the name, the number is 666. Because if Irenaeus can give us some insight, maybe this can really help us get on the right track to calculating a name, right? A number of a name. So this is Irenaeus. This is that book right there, Against Heresies. The book 5. It's again, I told you the last 5th of the book, right? Chapter 30. I'm going to skip past the yellow part. We're going to come back to that. It is, and this is super tiny, so I'm just going to have to read it to you. You guys good? So I'll try to talk slowly and clearly. Okay, there's a lot going on here, and I wouldn't read all this, but I think it's all important, so we're going to read it. So Irenaeus writes, "It is therefore more certain and less hazardous to await the fulfillment of the prophecy," wait till the Antichrist actually shows up, "than to be making surmises, guesses, and casting about for any names that may present themselves, inasmuch as many names can be found possessing the number mentioned, 666. So what's Irenaeus saying? He's saying, we need to wait and see, like, if somebody shows up that kind of fits the bill, then we'll check it. In the meantime, it's kind of, a waste of time, right? And the same question will, after all, remain unsolved. For if there are many names found possessing this number, it will be asked, which among them shall the coming man bear? It is not through a want of names containing the number of that name that I say this, but although, wait till you see what I found. Irenaeus and I, we'll debate this in the resurrection. But on account of the fear of God and zeal for the truth. This is where we stay humble. I love that sentiment. Right, Richard? Yeah. Okay, we don't get all guessy and speculative, okay? We're just looking at facts here. For the name Evanthus, for example, contains the required number. So apparently this name Evanthus, which was a Latin name, a Roman name, Greek, actually equals 666 when it's ran through Isopsephy, the calculator. But I make no allegation regarding it. This is way back in the year 180, okay, 1800 years ago. Then also Latinos has the number 666, and it is a very probable solution. He thinks like I do, like we do, however you want to say it, because you're just kind of like trying to work it. But watch what he says. He says, "This being the name of the last kingdom of the foreseen by Daniel." I love that. For the Latins are they who at present bear rule. Who was ruling in the time of Irenaeus? The Romans, now he's calling them the Latins here. That's what he calls them in his book, but he means the Roman Empire. Okay. I will not, however, make any boast over this coincidence. So he's saying, look what I found. Isn't this cool? But look, I'm not saying that's it. Okay. So that's a position we're trying to take here. Titan too, he would pronounce it Titan here. Titan too. And he actually qualifies the way that he's spelling it here. He says, the first syllable being written with the two Greek vowels, E and I, let's call them, among all the names which are found among us is rather worthy of credit. He likes this one. For it has in itself the predicted number. It equals 666, is composed of 6 letters. He's looking for patterns here. Each syllable contains 3 letters, so like 3 sixes. So he's looking for some kind of a pattern here. He's doing what we do. If he can do it, we can do it, right? Okay. And the word itself is ancient and removed from ordinary use. There weren't a lot of people named Titan in Irenaeus' day. For among our kings we find none bearing this name Titan, nor have any of the idols which are worshipped in public among the Greeks and barbarians this appellation. Among many persons, too, this name is accounted divine, so that even the sun is termed Titan. But see what he's doing, though? He's like building a case. And that's okay to do. If Irenaeus can do it, we can do it, right? By those who now possess the rule, the Romans, this word, too, contains a certain outward appearance of vengeance and of one inflicting merited punishment. Almost done here. Because he, the Antichrist, I like this one, pretends that he vindicates the oppressed. He got that right. You get that little insight from Irenaeus? He pretends that he vindicates the oppressed. All right, that fits into our story nicely. And I lost my place. We infer. Okay, so and besides this, it is an ancient name, one worthy of credit, of royal dignity, and still therefore a name belonging to a tyrant. Inasmuch then as this name Titan has so much to recommend it, there is a strong degree of probability that from among the many names suggested, we infer that perchance he who is to come, the Antichrist, shall be called Titan. We will not, however, incur the risk of pronouncing positively as to the name of the Antichrist. He's not saying this is it. He's saying, look, this is my best guess in the current circumstances. For if it were necessary that his name should be distinctly revealed in this present time, it would have been announced by him who beheld the apocalyptic vision, talking about John the Apostle, who wrote Revelation. It wasn't time yet to announce his name, for that was seen not very long time since, but almost in our day toward the end of Domitian's reign. So the end of Domitian's reign was about 85 years before Irenaeus wrote this, in about the year AD 95. Finally, but he indicates the number of the name now. So by inspiration of the Holy Spirit, Jesus himself really, John tells us the number of the name. Look at the reason for this, guys. Pay attention. That when this man comes, when he finally shows up, we may avoid him. In other words, put up your guards. This is it. Being aware of who he is. The name, however, suppressed in Irenaeus' time because it is not worthy of being proclaimed by the Holy Spirit. That's a mouthful, right? He's saying a lot there. Did you get what he's saying? So here's what we're getting from Irenaeus. Okay, great, big deal. But what Irenaeus is doing for us here, he's giving us an example that gives us a lot more ability to run this test ourselves if someone of interest happens to pop up, right? Because he's giving a proper name. It's a first name. He's not including like a surname, like a last name, right? It's just Titan, first name. It's a literal name of a person is what we're looking for according to Irenaeus. And then there's more, because again, if it's Isopsephy, now we have a name that we can actually test thanks to Irenaeus. He says, hey, if you use the right calculating mechanism, you will get to the number 666. That's amazing for us, because now we can identify the calculator, which you'd think I would have done after 25 years, but my twin brother did it. Yay, Aaron. So here's what I want to do real quick. We're going to run these two names through our calculator. Titan, which is the actual correct name. Are you guys good? Yeah, I know there's a lot going on here, but you guys are all like college level thinkers, so you can handle it. So I'm going to start with the name Titan, okay? So this is an online calculator that Aaron found, and then I did end up testing the calculator. I'm the one that confirmed the calculator. I get credit for that. Like if this calculator is like really legit, right? And I'll show you how I did it. So it's very simple. But so we're going to submit the name Titan, and what is the numeric value of Titan? It's not. It's 661. So that's weird. But you might recall that this is why Irenaeus did a little bit of a song and dance here, because he kind of was like, can we say, trying to make the name fit? So he added an E in front of the I. So we go on, and like he keeps quoting the name Titan, how it's normally spelled. But yeah, if you spell it with this E, maybe that'll fit then, right? You see what I mean? Yeah. Like it's not even really the name Titan, but he just kind of like crams that E in there just to see if it fits. And of course, see the number 666. So, but you see how he has to kind of like finagle the name a little bit to make it work. Okay. So, where am I? So we're going to do this just to kind of test this further. We're going to translate from the Greek to the English, and I want to show you something here. This was an idea I had to kind of like test this out. If this seems overly thorough, hey, you guys love me, you'll live. Okay. So, what's that? Actually, you know what? I don't even need this. What am I doing? Our calculator does it for us. We're going to go straight to Google. So if I type in the name Titan, the way that it's supposed to be spelled, and see, I'm leaving it Greek. So we're going to search in Google for the actual original Greek spelling of this name, and what we get, kind of expected, is just a whole bunch of entries, all this stuff about Titan, and see how it's in Greek. Okay, so it's looking up legitimate, pages that have to do with the use of this name in the original language, Greek. And we get so many returns. Look at that. At least 10 pages. There's probably hundreds of pages with this name Titan. But watch this, though. If conversely, we do Irenaeus' little trick, and see, Irenaeus didn't have Google, so can't hold him responsible for this, right? But if we use his version of the name Titan that gives us the number 666, like we're looking for, watch the usage of that version of the name. I'm going to get rid of this because I actually don't need it. That version of the name. See what I'm doing? I'm using Irenaeus' spelling now. You guys tracking with me? Is this too high level? It's interesting, huh? If we use Irenaeus' version of the name to make it fit, to make it equal 666, what do we get? We get a bunch of returns, but guess what? I see what it's doing. It's actually including Titan there. Why isn't it giving the option to only include our spelling? Well, anyways, it'll still do what I want to do here. Look what we get. Biblical, look, Irenaeus right there. There's something about Revelation 13, number of the beast. So when we search on just Titan, we're getting like people's names and company names and places and history and all this stuff. If we search for Irenaeus' version of the name Titan with that E in there, all the returns are Irenaeus.
Yeah.
Do you see the point?
Yeah.
That version of the name with the E crammed in there, it's not in use. It really isn't. It's not legit. Okay? The only returns we get on that is Irenaeus. Nobody else uses that spelling. Okay? And again, he didn't have Google, so we can't he's my favorite guy in history outside the Bible, so he won't be mad at me for talking like this. But okay, so I'm just going to say right there that the name Titan, Irenaeus' version, maybe isn't ideal. Maybe it really doesn't work for us. And that's okay. There's another reason, a much more important reason, that we kind of can't give Irenaeus a bad time for this, because something has happened in history since the time of Irenaeus that he could not have known, could never have predicted, that completely changes the parameters of this game, trying to find a name that has that number. And here's what it is right here. See what I wrote down here? Irenaeus makes his best guess, but he could not have known, he could not have anticipated that half a century later, about 450 years later, that the Muslims would come in. See, Islam didn't even exist until the 600s. Irenaeus wrote his book in the year 180. So we're talking about 4.5 centuries before the Muslims even became an empire, the Islamic Empire under Muhammad, went in, invaded Syria, and Syria has been controlled under Muslim control ever since, the 600s, okay? Irenaeus couldn't have anticipated that. So if Irenaeus had known that and knew what that meant, would he have been looking at Greek names? It can't be a Greek name, okay? If we're the last generation, we are, okay? If the Antichrist is going to show up at some point in our time, and he shows up in Damascus, that's where he comes from. Daniel chapter 11 calls him the king of the north. I'm going to kind of briefly show that in a second. There's zero question the Antichrist comes from Syria. He rises to power in Damascus. That means he's backed by the Muslims, and that means his name is not Greek. What is his name? What language is his name? Has to be. It has to be Arabic. Okay, it's right there on the screen, right? His name has to be Arabic. Okay, it's the only thing that makes sense. Happens anywhere near our lifetime. He rises to power in Syria, Damascus. His name is Arabic. It's not Greek. So now we want to look at Arabic names, right? Okay, so that brings us to this guy. You guys tracking with me?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, that brings us to our guy. So his name again. Oh boy, if any of his guys ever watch my classes, I know that they won't, so I'm not too worried here. You're like calling somebody, anyways. So again, his nom de guerre, the name he used during war, was Abu Muhammad al-Golani, and Golani in reference to the Golan Heights. We talked about that last class, that kind of betrays an interest in Israel, like that territory. His family was from the Golan Heights originally until Israel came in 1967, took it over, kicked out his family. He was born and raised in Saudi Arabia because of it, all right? So maybe a little beef with Israel, and his nom de guerre, his war name, betrays that, right? But his real name, again, that he has not used in 14 years because he's been in hiding on the run, is Ahmad al-Sharaa, okay? So using Irenaeus as a cipher, what name might we want to run through our calculator to determine the number of this guy's name? Ahmad, exactly. So if you look at, okay, so like here's an article from the BBC, and how are they spelling his name here? It's Ahmed. That's actually not correct. That's a soft H, so it'd be like Ahmed, Ahmed, like that, right? And then some new, Western news sites, they'll get it closer to the correct name, Ahmad, but it's still a soft H there. Yeah, so I've been to the Middle East, Ben's been to the Middle East, my twin brother's been to the Near East, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and so we just know from personal experience, you guys know too, what the correct way to pronounce this gentleman's name is. And what is it, Andrew?
Ahmad.
Yeah, you got the real throaty, it's not a ch like a soft, it's ch. Like if you had a cold like I did when Aaron figured this out, you would not have wanted me to go, anywhere. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Jeff Dunham then.
Huh? What?
Jeff Dunham has a public name.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm being way too real tonight. Okay. So just to be sure, because you guys know how thorough I love to be. So our man in the Middle East, who's our guy in the Middle East? We go and say his name. Naif. Okay, my buddy in Beirut who keeps us apprised of situations over there. Yeah. So I just went straight to the source. I said, okay, yeah. Naif, here, by the way, let's just run those through just to have fun here. So the spelling in the BBC, let's see how close we get. This would be the name we test, right? Yeah. It's his first name. I know a lot of you have seen this in the Facebook message. So they're like, yeah, we know, Ryan. Isn't this exciting? Because these guys don't know. So let's show them, okay. If we run that through, oh my gosh, look how close we get. 650, still not 666. If we run the better spelling through, but it's still with a soft H, so still not quite correct, then we get 646. Okay, so same range. Still close, but not quite right. This is not his name. His name is not Ahmed or Ahmad with a soft H. And just to confirm, you guys are going to love this. This is how thorough I am. Okay, you guys should thank me for this. Pass around the offering bucket again. They're going to put in more after this. So I asked Naif, I said, send me another audio clip. We went back and forth so much. I drove him crazy. He doesn't care. He loves me. How to properly pronounce this guy's names, okay? And so here we go. I hope I have the volume up enough.
Oh, brothers, how are you? You can spell it like this. Abu Muhammad al-jolani or Ahmad al-Sharaa.
I said it twice. I love that.
Abu Muhammad al-jolani.
Okay. And I think that was at like 2 o'clock in the morning his time. I woke him up and made him do this. So it's okay. I'm going over there again, and I buy him all the best dinners. I'll buy him a bunch of cappuccino. He'll be fine. So, oh, I love Naif. That guy's seriously. He's watching right now. He set his alarms. Everybody say hi, Naif.
Hi.
Go ahead. Rex.
Does that mean Jeff Dunham got it right?
Thank you, Rex.
Is that a sports reference? I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's a ventriloquist and he has a puppet in Ahmad.
He's what? Oh, that guy. Oh my gosh.
He has a puppet.
I remember that. Right. The terrorist.
Yes.
He's a terrorist. Yes. Dude, good. Okay, gold star for Rex. That was a good reference. That was funny. Okay. So we researched it thoroughly and figured out, because, again, being thorough here, this is not a small claim that we're making here. So this is why we're being thorough. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take what we believe is the correct way to spell this in our language, our alphabet, okay, transliterated into English, with a KH, right? That's how you would spell it, with the Ach. And to test this, we searched this name in Google, and sure enough, I mean, my gosh, tons of sites, different names, different guys, different countries, and look at all the results. So is Ahmad a good spelling for that Arabic name? It is. And look, when I add a parameter here, Syria specifically, okay, search only for Ahmad, Syria, same thing. Look at this, whole bunch of Syrians with the name Ahmad, and they're spelling it just how we're going to pass it into our calculator. So with that, you guys ready? Here we go, the moment of truth. Ahmad, this is the guy's name who just rose to power in Damascus. What does that say? 666. I know, Richard. I know you're shocked, man. Richard's been in the middle of this conversation since like that night with Aaron. So yeah. so Ahmad actually equals 666. Now, this is where, okay, so Aaron, the biggest discovery out of all this, unless this turns out not to be the guy, and then how stupid was Aaron? I mean, man, what's the matter with that guy, right? Jeez. So, I mean, really, right? Come on, right? Anyways. No, either way, I mean, the most amazing discovery with this whole situation, right? But now I'm going to add my Ryan stuff to this, right? You guys know, again, how insanely thorough I get, right? So I actually, it actually occurred to me, because I thought what Irenaeus said. He said, yeah, but don't get too excited, right, Pastor Jesse? Because, like Irenaeus said, there's a whole bunch of numbers that are going to, equal 666, or a whole bunch of names, rather. And then he gave a couple of other examples of names that equal 666. So here's what I did. You guys are going to love this. Oh my gosh. This is like PhD level stuff, man, my research, okay? So I looked up the 180 most common Arabic Muslim baby names. And this is, again, like if I was doing a PhD, this would be like my top reference. Pampers, the diapers, right? They've got the list. I mean, yeah, doesn't it make sense though? That like Pampers, I mean, marketing and money and all that. So they're going to do the list, right? So true story, you're not going to believe I did this. I ran every single one of these 180 names through our calculator. This is going to trip you out, okay? So out of 180 of the most popular male baby names in the Arab world, how many, you want to take a guess, like how many actually equal 666? Is it a big number? Is it small?
3.
You think 1? Oh, Richard is saying 3.
5.
So I'm going to scroll down, and I have highlighted the ones that equal 666 or at least come close. Okay, and listen, these are like, some of these names equal like 23, some of them equal like 1,412. I mean, not even close, okay? Okay, so we're up to 15 names, 20 names, none are highlighted yet, right? Keep going. Oh, and by the way, I'm being honest. I was being honest here, as intellectually honest as I'm capable of. And I'd even try like different permutations, because, we added the K to our Ahmad. So let me try that with these other names too. If I see a soft H there, I'll add a K there. If I see like an EED, like Khalid, I'll try it with LID. Try different spellings, right? Because we're translating from Arabic to Greek, after all. So it's not a direct translation. John knew that, or maybe he didn't. Jesus knew it. God certainly knew it. Irenaeus didn't know it. But we're going to take an Arabic name and plug it into a Greek calculator. There's going to be some transliteration. I tried every permutation I could think of all 180 names. I hope I still have a job after all this. Boy, I put a lot of hours in this. And look, okay, there's the first one I have highlighted is our guy, Ahmad. And we know what that equals. That equals 666, okay? So going through, still none. There's a couple that did come close. Where did they go? There's one, Khalid. That's one I just said, Khalid. That actually equals 665. So it's super close, okay? But I tried every permutation I could think of, and nope, didn't happen. I don't know why I'm not seeing my other highlighted one. Maybe it's down here. Oh, there it is. Hatham, that's the other one, equals 665. So besides Ahmad, Irenaeus with this list was mistaken. There's only one name that equals 666. There's a couple that come close. Most are way, way off. So we have one legitimately like valid possibility for the name of the Antichrist, and that's Ahmad. That's this guy's name, okay? So, guys tracking with me? Everybody good?
Right.
Yeah.
Does the ones that come close, does that really mean anything? No. I think so. Okay.
No, it's got to equal 666. Absolutely. That's what Revelation chapter 13 says. Good question.
There's no close about it.
Close only counts in horseshoes, not in end times Bible prophecy. So that's an actual saying.
Hand grenades and thermal.
Sarah, make a T-shirt. Okay, that's gonna be a T-shirt.
What is it gonna say?
So yeah, close only counts in horseshoes, not in end times Bible prophecy.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, John.
Well, all this stuff is what they call numerology. And there's religions built on numerology.
Right.
And the Bible actually gives you the answer. They've already done the calculation. It says the number you're looking for is 666.
Yeah.
You really don't care what letters are in there or not. You're looking for the number 666.
Well, no, but remember what it says in Revelation 13. It says the number of his name. You have to calculate the number of his name.
This is this numerology thing.
It's really not. I mean, in Hebrew, it's called gematria. They use it throughout the Old Testament. It's not numerology where like you know, I don't know. Give me an example, like where a number means like you're going to die next week or something. The old telephone dial. Thank you, John. He's such a good contributor to our class. I don't know what that means. But anyways, it's a legitimate thing. John tells us, he gives a hint about the type of calculation to use. Isopsephy, the root word is pebble, right? Facto is what he actually says, which is the same root word. And then again, Irenaeus tells us, here's an example, and he was the disciple of John's disciple. He said the name Titan, for example, equals 666. So when we pass the name Titan the way he spelled it, Teton is how he spelled it, we get that number in our calculator. Now, to be doubly sure what we did, or what Aaron did, he did it first. So this is Aaron here. He actually did it by hand. So this is based on, bear with me. This is based on, again, it's not rocket science. This is Isopsephy, and here's the key right here. A equals 1, B equals 2. All you do is you just take all your Greek letters and assign them a number, and then you get your total. It's just that simple. It's really not hard at all once you know what the calculator is. And so here's Aaron's work by hand. He did it by hand. This was Sunday morning. I saw what he did. Oh, and I told him right on here, these final days, may as well get some mileage out of this, right? Get some marketing in there. Because he said he's going to put this all over the internet. So I said, well, put our ministry on there at least, let's get some, traffic, right? And he even puts the date that he calculated, because he wants to be that guy in Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Let he who has wisdom, whatever. And when I saw this Sunday morning, I went on Wikipedia. I did this. This took me about 1 minute, if not less. And that's my version. Oh, and here it is right here. So one day this will be in a museum in Jerusalem during the millennial reign, collecting dust in the back room, while Aaron's version's in a big glass case out front with a big spotlight on it. But anyways, so yeah, it's exciting. If this is the guy, if it's not, how ridiculous all this is. But it's good for learning process. Calculate the number of the beast. See that, John? The instructions from the book of Revelation, calculate the number of the beast. His number is 666. And again, in Revelation actually says the number of his name. So just to help keep me humble, my buddy Richard Wave, that's Richard right there. Okay, so Richard, Sarah and I met at Starbucks a couple weeks ago talking about a radio show that we're pitching right now, right? And then Richard wrote this to me, and I asked him, I said, can I share your comments with the class? Because this is a super important point, and I received this, and he agreed. He said, don't mention my name, but I said, no, I mentioned your name, man. Put you on the spot. So, but I love how you guys are like talking to me, interactive. So you're still speaking to me after all this. I thought I would mention J.D. Farage and the loss I experienced when he predicted the rapture a while back. He became illegitimate in an instant, credibility shattered. One day I trusted him. This is serious, you guys. Take this seriously, and you may be able to relate. I trusted him implicitly. The next day I shunned him, not by choice or intent, but innately. So Richard wasn't being mean, just how he felt, right? I'm still confused by the mechanism, what made him feel that way, right? I think it's the Holy Spirit, Richard. The reason I say this, Joel, talking about Joel Richardson, that video that you sent me, Ernie, right? So So Joel picked up on this guy. I talked about this, a few weeks ago in class, right? And he did a little video 3 days, I think, after he rose to power. And Joel mentioned in this video, which I shared with Richard and Sarah, how weird Christians are. We want to be the guy who said it first, right? And guilty, I'll admit it, okay? But like I say, the Holy Spirit doesn't tell me anything, like what's going to happen. He just teach the topic, right? So I wanted to submit my 2 cents. Teach us, this is Richard talking to me here, guys. Teach us what the boxes are being ticked, how to recognize the facts and sort them effectively, the statistical improbability of the situation, then let the listener draw their own conclusions. Isn't that good of Richard? Yeah, and I mean, kind of cool of me to put this up because he's like, smackdown dude with the teacher, right? But I receive it, man. This is exactly right. We should not feel too comfortable going out on a limb. Now, this is the most important part. Pay attention. None of this is to say I disagree with the argument in any way, but I love what you do. Do you hear that? And the idea it would be discredited in any way brings me to anxiety. Thanks, man. Love you, buddy. Yeah. Give him a hand. I thought that was cool what he wrote. So, and I appreciate you guys. I mean, for 25 years, none of you, I think, has ever hesitated to help keep me in my place. So between you guys and Aaron, my ego's about that big, but it's still there. It's still there. Okay. So along those lines, as far as I can tell, the only Arabic name and the Antichrist name has to be Arabic. Logically, right? The only Arabic name that equals 666 is Ahmad, which makes us all gasp and wow, that's incredible. But then look what I thought to look up. How common is the name Ahmad? The name Ahmad is extremely common in Arab countries, considered one of the most popular male names due to its strong connection to Islamic heritage, its association with the Prophet Muhammad. That's interesting. It is widely used throughout the Muslim world, particularly in the Middle East and North Africa. So Ahmad may be the only Arabic name, but there's thousands, tens of thousands of guys in the Middle East right now named Ahmad. So Irenaeus made his best guess. He liked the name Titan. I'm liking the name Ahmad. That is our guy's name, but there's a lot of guys named Ahmad. Now, there's a difference, though, between our guy and all the other tens of thousands of guys in the Middle East named Ahmad. In fact, why don't we say maybe millions of guys since the Islamic Empire came into existence back in the 600s? Maybe millions. Where he came from? What do you mean?
You said there's one difference.
Okay, and actually there's a little bit more than one difference. You ready?
Oh my God, Moss.
Watch this. Actually, let me show you a little article first that Richard shared with me that is pertinent. Where's my pointer? Okay. Yes, it is Catholic, and I love using Catholic sources because they're way more scholarly than evangelicals. I'm so sorry I just said that. It's yeah, they're really good though. Okay, so just bear with me. I'm not Catholic. I'm evangelical. Check this out though. And this is actually based on this other guy's work from 50 years ago. Okay, look at this. Some of you probably heard this concept. The probability of 8 prophecies fulfilled by Jesus occurring by happenstance. So let's read what this is about. We're going to calculate the probability, and this article is about Jesus. Really proving, quote unquote, that Jesus really is the Messiah. Okay. So let me read the nuts and bolts of it here. Okay. I'm going to zoom in. Hold on. Oop, too far. Okay. I can well imagine if there had been only one Old Testament prophecy and Jesus fulfilled it, many might conclude that it was purely by happenstance, coincidence. But what if there were 2 or 5 or 8? At what point would the probability of Jesus fulfilling them purely by happenstance exceed the improbable and enter the realm of the impossible? See what it's saying? Looking at statistics now, okay? Studied it in grad school, and that was my least favorite class. It's hard. After all, Jesus didn't just fulfill 1 or 2 or 5 or even 8 prophecies, which is all we're going to calculate to. He fulfilled all 353 prophecies contained in the Old Testament. So that's huge, but we're just going to calculate for 8, okay? I'd like to share with you a true story of a mathematics professor who decided to conduct a class exercise with his students to determine the probability of a person randomly fulfilling just 8 of the 353 Old Testament prophecies about Jesus. 12 classes participated in this exercise, numbering in excess of 600 students. So they were doing some real work here. The professor's name was Peter Stoner, and he taught mathematics at Pasadena City College in California up until 1953. So this was done quite a while ago. In 1957, Moody Press published a book written by Professor Stoner on the subject called Science Speaks: An Evaluation of Certain Christian Evidences. The 8 prophecies, so Richard, this is what you were saying about calculating the odds of this, right? The probability. The 8 prophecies, Professor Stoner pre-chosen for this class, are as follows: that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. Pay attention too, because these are all extremely literal. He wasn't symbolically born in Bethlehem. You know, Bethlehem means house of bread. He's the bread of life. No, he literally was born in Bethlehem, right? The older I get, the more experienced I get in this stuff, the more literal I become, okay, interpreting this stuff. That a messenger would prepare the way for the Messiah, that was John the Baptist, that the Messiah would enter Jerusalem as a king riding on a donkey. That's so specific, and it was not symbolic, it was literal, yes? That the Messiah would be betrayed by a friend, that was Judas, suffer wounds on his chest, quite literal. Messiah would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. That's, again, really highly specific, right? That the betrayal would be used to purchase a potter's field. Wow. That the Messiah will remain silent while he is afflicted. And finally, number 8, that the Messiah will die having his hands and feet pierced. It's all Old Testament prophecy. These are just 8 of the 353. Notice that none of the 8 are of themselves extreme, basic, direct stuff, such as the Messiah's resurrection or ascension into heaven. So we're not using like crazy examples that are like not, provable to skeptics. These are just basic things, right? Students were asked to determine a reasonable probability for each of these 8 prophecy fulfillments. For instance, when considering the first prophecy of the Messiah being born in Bethlehem, the students had to determine the probability by calculating a reasonable estimate of the number of people born in Bethlehem, reasonable estimate compared to the world during that same time frame. And then they came up with a resulting percentage and stated it as a probability, again, statistics. Considerable research was conducted for each of these 8 probabilities, and then you multiply them together to get an overall probability for Jesus fulfilling all 8, and look at the number you get, okay? Once the overall probability calculated was completed, the work was submitted for review to the American Scientific Affiliation, and this is what they said: the work has been reviewed by the American Scientific Affiliation, in general, to be dependable and accurate. In regard to the scientific material presented, mathematical analysis included is based upon principles of probability are sound. Professor Stoner has applied these principles in a proper and convincing way. Here's the bottom line. They found that the odds a person would have fulfilled all 8 of these prophecies is 1 in 100 quadrillion. Okay? So since the beginning of mankind, there have maybe been 100 billion people born. I think that's an exaggeration, actually. I don't think that's right. But let's say it's 100 billion, and that's someone fulfilling, something that is probable to 1 in 100 quadrillion. Okay, so that's an extremely small fraction of the probability of one person fulfilling all 8, right? And here's a way to visualize this. Professor Stoner illustrated this probability in a more visual manner. He stated that if 100 quadrillion silver dollars were laid down within the geographical boundaries of the state of Texas, which is a big state, I don't know if you've heard, they would cover every square inch of the state and would amass a pile 2 feet high across the state. The entire state of Texas, 2 feet high of silver dollars, right? And with only one of these silver dollars marked with an X, a man would be blindfolded, placed in the middle of the state, told to walk in any direction as far as he wishes, and the probability as calculated is expressed as that man selecting the one and only silver dollar with an X on it. Okay, do you get that? This is the chances of Jesus, of one man fulfilling just 8 of those prophecies. So if you fulfill 8 prophecies, then, right, 2 feet deep, silver dollar. I mean, come on. There's another word for it if you don't want to get all fancy and mathematical and call it statistically improbable. The word is impossible. Come on. Okay, Don, go ahead.
They always say that, well, Jesus would know all these prophecies so he could help himself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That argument's still made today. Yeah. So he purposely was born in Bethlehem.
Yeah, well, that one he couldn't know.
Yeah, right. You couldn't fake that, right? He's purposely born of a virgin. Like, how do you make that happen, right? He purposely was a baby in Nazareth. How do you do that, right? He purposely, fled to Egypt when he was a kid. Come on. He purposely whispered to the Pharisees, hey, pay Judas Iscariot 30 pieces of silver, because that says it in the Old Testament, right? And don't forget, when you nail me to the cross, come on. Yeah. So, people would say that, and they might be saying that about our guy too. You guys ready for this? You're going to love me for this?
Oh.
You're going to love me for this? Because I did it. Okay, so how many prophecies are we talking about with Jesus? That creates a statistical impossibility. 8. Ready for mine? For our guy in Damascus? Oop. See all the check boxes? Oh, there it goes again. Okay, I know. I don't know that this is the guy, okay? But some prerequisites, I think, is that Syria has to be a nation again. Again, it has not been for 2,000 years, became a nation again in 1946, because he's the king of the north, which is Syria. That's Daniel chapter 11. Of course, we can't take any time on any of these. Look at the clock, right? Israel has to be a nation again because Israel's in on this story, right? Israel was not a nation for 2,000 years. They are again. So there's 2 check boxes, prerequisites. Israel needs to be in control of the Temple Mount and yet still awaiting the third temple, because otherwise the Daniel 9:27 treaty is meaningless, right? Because remember, it allows the Jews to rebuild the temple on the Temple Mount. Listen, I know what probably most of you are thinking right now. Yeah, but this is all open to interpretation. It's fine. Then that's cool. Use your own interpretations, but think about this. All right, and I'm not just throwing you one or two here. It's point after point after point. The Prince of the Covenant, if it's Jared Kushner, is in place. Now that's not necessarily a prerequisite. We don't know from Scripture at all what happens first. You have the Prince of the Covenant, you have the treaty, and then the Antichrist shows up later. What we know for a fact from Daniel chapter 11 is that the Prince of the Covenant and the treaty do exist before the Antichrist signs on to them, because it says that he signs on to the treaty. He joins the existing treaty later. So really, hypothetically, the Prince of the Covenant has to exist first. That treaty has to exist first. Check. If I'm interpreting these correctly, you be the judge. Okay, we don't know for sure, but it's compelling, isn't it? Okay. Now, talking about our person of interest specifically, Daniel chapter 11, he comes in with no title of royalty. Check. This guy he's not from a royal family, no political affiliation. He has no title at all. He just walks into Damascus and he's in charge. He seizes the kingdom peaceably. People have already debated this point with me. Well, no, it was a rebellion and there's 300,000 guys and they've got guns and they're killing people. It's true, but we're talking about Bible prophecy here, and what's factual, I don't think a shot was fired when these guys walked into Damascus. That's the seat of the kingdom. When you go in and seize the kingdom, you're seizing the presidential palace, you're seizing the seat of government, all the governmental offices, the people, everything, right? Peaceably, not one shot was fired. When they walked into Damascus, they're all gone. Assad and all of his guys, they're gone. They're in hiding. That's interesting, right? Becomes a king by intrigue. The Hebrew word intrigue there also means charm or flattery. Well, what does that mean? Well, to this day, you could look at an article in the Middle Eastern press, Israeli press, even the Western press that was published today, and they're still making the point. We're still not quite sure how this guy ended up on the throne in Damascus, so to speak. Why him? Nobody voted him in or anything. Well, because he spent 14 years just being nice and forming coalitions, and now he's reaching out to Israel, and the U.S. is going over there and dropping the bounty on him. This guy's charming. This guy's like flattery, right? This is how he got that position. Everybody likes him. Check, I think. Okay? Rises to power with a small number of people. 300,000 rebels came down from northern Syria, Turkey. Okay? This guy's group was only 10,000 of those 300,000. Very, very small group of guys, and he's the one who gets power. Okay? Did you catch that? 300,000 rebels. In fact, right about a week before he showed up in Damascus, there was a general among the rebels, and the Israeli press was concerned about this guy in particular, this guy's group, and this guy assured the Israeli press, it's a week before he took power, said, don't worry about that guy. His group is real small. They're 10,000 guys. We're 300,000. They're just going to step into line as soon as he gets into Damascus. No, he sat on the throne. That's a trip. Okay, come up with a small number of people. If I'm interpreting all this correct, I don't know. Okay, the book of Revelation, the book of Daniel, chapter 11, describes him as his policies, his approach is democratic, it's secular, it's ecumenical. That's 100% been this guy's speech from day one. Okay, all religions will be treated equally. All people, we're all going to get along. We're going to rule this as a secular government. And you could say, well, he's lying. Well, yeah, if he's who we think he is, who I think he is, of course he's lying. That's the whole point of this guy, right? The king of deception here, right? Muslim prophecy, he rides under a black flag. Okay, the entire rebellion, they're all waving the flag of the original flag of Syria. It's a black stripe, white stripe, green stripe with 3 red stars. But this one little group who walks into Damascus that day, they're flying a black flag, the jihadi flag. It says there is one God, his name is Allah, and his prophet is Muhammad. Okay, in Arabic, it's a black flag. The one little group, which group? This guy's group. Okay, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the name of this group, which means for the purpose of liberating the Levant, which includes Israel, by the way. Check. I could add those to the list too. Okay, but I didn't have room on the screen here. So what are the odds? I mean, you see where I'm going with this? You see what I'm getting at here? Make anybody nervous? His first appearance as the new king of the north is at the Great Mosque in Damascus. That's what got my attention that day, December 8th, 2024. I'm just, the kids are having their Bible study. It's Sunday night at my house, and I'm on the couch kind of bored, going through my phone, and there's an article from CNN, of all things, right? I do look at CNN too. And there's a picture of this guy, and this, Abu Muhammad al-Golani, still using that name, making his victory speech in the Umayyad Mosque, the Great Mosque of Damascus. That's Muslim prophecy. See, that's an example, Don, where you could say, well, this guy knows the prophecies about the Mahdi, so he's trying to make himself look like the Mahdi. Okay, so how did he orchestrate Syria becoming a nation again and seizing it by intrigue and all these other points? How do you orchestrate, Israel being in control of the Temple Mount? We have the Prince of the Covenant, I think. We have the treaty, the Daniel 9:27. See, he didn't orchestrate all that. There's a couple things he could have forced, right? The Antichrist at this juncture will extend an olive branch to Israel. And what's the last thing? Thank you, Aaron. The number of his name will equal 666. So how many boxes did this guy check if my scheme here is remotely legit? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What do you think the statistical probability is of one person fitting all these? If 8 prophecies is 1 in 100 quadrillion, what do you think this number would be? A lot bigger than that. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say officially. Class is just about over. First of all, there is one incredibly important criteria that if this guy doesn't meet it, he is not the Antichrist. Okay. However, at this juncture, Ben and I were talking after the last class 3 weeks ago, and I'll give Ben credit for this one because I'm not getting nothing anymore. You guys are all hitting the home runs. I'm just along for the ride. But I think it was something Ben said, and he hit the nail on the head. Yeah, but at this juncture in the Antichrist career, meaning when he first rises to power, would he have revealed that he's from the tribe of Dan specifically? We're going to get into this next class. We're going to just look at this briefly. That he has Jewish blood? My gosh, no, they would kill him. Of course he can't reveal that. This would be so concealed at this point in time in the Antichrist career. So I'm going to call it our number one disqualifier for this guy. But would we even know at this point in time? We would not. No way. It would be so concealed. This is the Antichrist we're talking about. I don't mean this guy necessarily, but whoever the Antichrist is, he will have that point concealed. So give Ben a hand. Another good point. Whatever. All right. You guys used to clap for me every now and then, but those are the good old days. So here's what I'm going to say, and then class is over, and then we're going to pick this up briefly next class. I was hoping to get through all my stuff tonight. It doesn't matter. This is super important, and we're going to look at this disqualifying piece next class, just to make sure we're keeping a proper eye on the situation. Okay, I am 100% not prepared at this point to say that this is the guy. Okay. What I am going to say is that these points here, I didn't put up my, how many did I count here? 14? I didn't put up my 14. It's okay, Ben. My 14, it's no problem at all, Ben. Don't worry at all. TikTok stopped early. They can go on YouTube and watch the rest. I didn't put up my 14 favorite and leave out the other 10 that don't match my little, narrative here. I swear to you, in the greatest possible intellectual honesty that I personally am capable of, this is every single point that the Antichrist would have to meet at this juncture in his career. I didn't leave off one. So he's literally meeting 100% of the prophecies about the initial appearance of the Antichrist. Okay, so what I'll say is that it is statistically impossible that this is coincidence, that this guy isn't something. So either he's who I'm thinking he might be, which is unimaginable. But again, I've always said I'm going to be here when Jesus comes back. So the guy has to show up at some point. Why not now? Okay. It's just, gosh, if somebody showed me a video of this like 5 years ago, I wouldn't even believe I'm standing in front of a class and on live stream saying this, right? But either this is the guy, or if it's not the guy, God very purposely did this. God did all this to give us this incredible, undeniable major type and shadow of the real guy, who this guy sure walks and talks and smells like. He sure does. So if he's not him, he's at the very least, God did this on purpose. This is not a coincidence. God did this on purpose to give us a major type and foreshadow. For what reason? I don't know. He's just messing with me, man. Just teasing me. I don't know. I'm not going to try to guess what God's motives are, but there's only two possibilities is what I'm saying. And I'm saying this with the boldest of confidence. So Richard, I can't say, 90% sure that he's not the guy. I'm also not going to be nuts here and say I'm 90% sure that he is the guy. That'd be a lie. So I don't know what to do except just, if you guys want a number from me? Who said no? Don? Okay, that's all right. I know, yeah. Hey, at least he tells the truth, right? For what it's worth, what do I know? After all these decades, what do I know? For what it's worth, right now, I'm just saying 50-50. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. What I will say is that you guys don't worry about it. Don't lose any sleep. Maybe it's all just for fun, whatever, right? In fact, this is what I'm officially calling this. Aaron loved this term. This is my official term for this. It's just a fire drill. But and read the specific instructions if you want, okay? But I'm just calling this a fire drill for now. And what I'm going to tell you is, don't worry about it. Go back to Netflix. Go to Starbucks. Have a good time. Just get back to normal life. But I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. I'm not getting back to normal life. I'm not. So you can count on me for what it's worth. I'm gonna be watching the situation like a hawk every minute of every day, and just stay tuned. So what's the last bullet point on there? I won't even look at the screen. Yeah, remain with your class at all times. So come back. This is the best commercial I've ever done for a class. So come back in 2 weeks. We'll pick this up again, and I do need to circle back to the four horsemen because gosh, if we're remotely right about this, then it really makes sense that the four horsemen are already riding. So we'll prove that out. I still got a class to teach, Warren. Until all this actually breaks loose, and I got to publish part 3. Go ahead, John, and then I got to close. Oh my gosh, I love that question. Who was I talking to about this? Mark the other day came in their store. Where's your store at?
Our Place Boutique behind Red Onion.
What's it called?
Our Place.
Our Place Boutique behind Red Onion on McCulloch. Super cool shop. Very cute. They got amazing stuff in there. You can go in and visit with Mark and Connie.
By the front door.
In the front, you'll see it there. But right behind the Red Onion, just go up the steps there. So I highly recommend the shop. Okay, now you guys are going to be rich because they're all going to go and spend all their money, right? But we were talking about this. What the Muslims believe in, they do believe in an Antichrist figure, actually 2 of them, called the Sufyani and the Ad-Dajjal, whose descriptions, in my opinion, match fairly nicely the 2 witnesses in Revelation chapter 11. It's a bizarro world. It's all flipped. So their bad guys are our good guys and vice versa. So they're expecting a Messiah called the Mahdi, and that's the prophecy, the black flag. He rises to power in Damascus, makes a speech at the Umayyad Mosque, check. That's from their prophecy about who they're expecting to be their Messiah. Okay? So see how it gets a little bit tricky? But we're good at this. So just going to pay attention. So if this is the guy, or whoever the guy is in the future, when he makes his move, the Muslims think that he's their Messiah, called the Mahdi. The Jews will think he's their Messiah, the Mashiach, because he rebuilds the temple. And a whole bunch of Christians, this is biblical, this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. A whole bunch of Christians will be clueless, okay, I'm sorry, because they're not paying attention to this stuff, and we're doing other things. And the parable of the 10 virgins, 10 wise, 10 foolish, guess what? When the bridegroom showed up, he found them all sleeping, okay? I'm going to hope and believe that there's one exception, and that's the These Final Days ministry peeps. We're not going to be asleep when the time comes, right? So, did I? Okay, yes, thank you.
Does he know he is?
That's another great question. You know what? Let's save anything else for 2 weeks from now. I will answer that real quick, and then Ernie's going to come up and close in prayer. Yes, I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that whoever the Antichrist is, whoever it is, future tense, whatever, that he 100% knows who he is, without a doubt. And there's even more crazy stuff about him, and we're literally starting our next class with that point from the Bible, some crazy stuff about the Antichrist. Just going to learn a little bit more because we got to do our due diligence. I can't believe we're actually in it, man. Like we're in the story. Felt like it's actually rolling now, I think. So, okay, so come back in 2 weeks, yes? My father-in-law, Ernie Kaysen, is going to close in prayer. Here, we'll stand up here so we can get you on. Because he's so good looking, so I married his daughter.
Father, you said, don't be deceived in Matthew 24. You were telling us that we could be deceived, but we cannot be deceived if we are filled with your Spirit. So we need to not depend on our logic and our reasoning, but to depend on your Spirit to reveal to us the things we need to know. So be it in your name.
Oh, wow. That was perfect, man. Give me a hand. Thank you. Love you guys. Yeah. I've never loved my group more than like today. So just keep your seatbelts buckled and so come back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, Ben, stay filled with the Holy Spirit. Love you guys.